What's up, y'all? That is the grisly named I Buried My Wife and Danced on Top of Her jig. It was one that was really popular for a while. I don't hear it nearly as often, but it's a great classic, so let's check it out. This tune is in D modal-ish, so grab a D whistle, D flute, whatever you feel like playing, and let's start with the basic melody here, nice and slow as we always do. Here we go. It's the first half of the A part. Carry on, get the second half, and we'll come back and put it all together. Here we go. So, as is fairly common, there's some repetition through that, so you can copy and paste those chunks, but let's run it all the way through the A part just once here. Nice and easy. Here we go. And then you'd play that twice. As do most tunes, they repeat, so you get that whole thing there, hopefully fairly well. Let's hit the B part, which jumps into the second octave, so as always, be mindful of the volume situation. Here we go. Get that interesting repetition-y bit between the D, C natural, A. So those transitions, if you struggle with those between the first octave and the second octave and clearing all those fingers and all that stuff, just make sure you run that particular phrase. Just run that a few times, make sure you get a good lockdown. Second half of the B part, here we go. There's that cool descending line that I think is kind of clever. Let's run the whole B part nice and easy. Here we go. In both cases, the A part and the B part, hopefully you notice that I stopped to take a breath, because I needed to. Don't feel like you've got to take a breath in the same spot. If you need it before or after that, just remember to delete a note and give yourself rhythmic room to get the breath in there. Let's run the whole tune AABB as you'd expect to hear it at a session. Not quite at session tempo, but a little bit quicker. Here we go. Success? I hope so. If not, go back and run that, use that as a good example, and kind of work on any particular sections that you're struggling with. As always, if you find a spot like that, break it down slowly, just work that one little bit, and then kind of put it back into context with the rest of the tune at a tune tempo. hopefully as we were working on the basic melody, some of those long-held notes and some of those spots, spaces in the tune you were able to pick up on, good opportunities for rolls. Not always, but it's a decent place to start, and we've certainly got that here. We are kicking off, or at least I like to kick off, with a grace note on that bottom D. And then a slide into the F sharp. And then we land on that G, and we've got basically a dotted quarter note, I believe. So that's 3. Obvious good spot for a roll. And then back to the F sharp. And that's, to me, the hook of this tune. And you can kind of lean on that with a roll and really emphasize it a bit. So, and then I'll usually cut as I go from that the end of that F sharp roll to the E. Sorry, cutting to the G and then to the E. Now, I do sometimes throw in a short roll on the F sharp. Kind of an optional one. It's a nice punctuation mark on that note to punch it up a little bit, but optional. Don't always have to. Nice cut to finish the phrase. If you dig this tune, I've got a deep dive video over on my Patreon where I go over some advanced variations and specifically some flute stuff if you're interested in that sort of thing. But let's carry on with the B part because there's some cool things you can do with that. You've probably heard me talk about highest note in the phrase if you've seen any of my previous videos. This one has some good option that sort of line up with the beats, and anytime those come up, I like to punch them up a little bit. You can do cuts, you can do slides as well. Any combination of that works pretty well, I think. And then you've got that D, C natural, A bit, which is kind of interesting. So I like to cut that first one just to give it a little bit of a punch and a little bit of differentiation, I guess, between the first and the second one. You could do a triplet there. It's not the really cool rhythmic triplet with the C natural and the bouncy bit you get out of that. It's just sort of tonguing to separate those notes, but once in a while it makes that little phrase stand out, I think. It's kind of cool. And then as we fall down the scale, I like accenting that stair-steppy part as it kind of jumps up and back down. So I've got 3 different ones to accent them all a little bit differently. I do sort of a breath punchiness on that second octave D. So you do that one first, then you got a slide on the B, and then a cut on the G. So again, any combination of those, mix them up as you see fit. That's some of the stuff I like doing with this tune. If you got any questions or any other tunes you'd like me to take a run at, leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to do my best, if I know them anyway. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.